This is a 2001 Mini Cooper, 1.6 litre engine and about 115 horsepower, and it's my pick of the Minis. I like this one more than the newer ones. I like it more than the Cooper S, and I do like it more than the Cooper 1. This is called the R50 model. That was the model internally given to this car when it was in development, so that people know what Mini they're talking about. But it's the first generation of the new ones. I've just taken this car in as a part exchange, so we'll be selling that soon once it's prepared. Excuse the car because it is a little bit dirty. I haven't prepped it, it's not retail ready yet. I'm going to give it a quick review. Engine on, starts, that's a good sign. All the lights go out, it's got some oil pressure. Let me tell you what it's like. So I've got an hour to get this whole video wrapped up, so it's not very organised. I haven't got a plan of what to say. I'm just going to drive. I'm going to tell you what I like and what I don't like about these cars. Something I like, the outside styling. I think they got this Mini right. I especially like it in this colour with a nice white contrasting roof and those extra lights you get where the grille is. I also really like the way the lights aren't too big. In the later Minis, the lights have just been getting bigger, and cartoon is the word that comes to mind. Something else that I really like is the steering. The steering is fantastic, and that's what's great about Minis. They're really darty, especially when you press on a little bit. It handles like a Mini. A lot of people say a Mini handles like a go-kart. They probably haven't driven many go-karts. A Mini handles nothing like a go-kart. A go-kart has the engine behind you, has rear wheel brakes. It's completely different. A Lotus Elise handles more like a go-kart. A Mini handles like a well-sorted front wheel drive car, which is what this is. A Mini, a very good front wheel drive car. If you're going to buy one of these, I recommend you go for a post 2004 model. At least the model with the later Getrag gearbox, if that's how you say Getrag. Some people say Getrag, some people say Getrag, but it's a much better gearbox than the Rover unit they had in the 2001 to 2004 models, which are known to have problems. Also, if you are going to buy one of these cars, don't expect it to be maintenance free. They do suffer with oil leaks, all of them. They never really solved it. The later models you buy, so the younger it is, the more chance the oil leaks have been solved, or the less chance of you getting an oil leak. The less chance you'll get an oil leak, basically, because they did work on it throughout the car's production. They never totally solved it, but later models do tend to be better. So have a good little budget aside if you want to enjoy this car, so when things do go wrong, you're not going to feel stung. Expect it, accept it, and you'll enjoy it. Another reason why I like this Mini over, say, the 1 or the Cooper S is I think it's got just the right power, and it's normally aspirated as well, so the gas pedal is nice and responsive. It makes quite a satisfying sound for me as well. It's not a fast car, it's not a slow car either. It's a cheeky car. It's got enough power for enjoyment. It's never going to blow your socks off, but I don't want it to. The brakes are pretty normal. There's the windscreen wipers squeaking away. I think it needs new wiper blades. They're quite standard, the brakes. They're not great, they're not bad, they're all right. Bit spongy at the top of the pedal like many cars. They're no Porsche brakes, but they do the job nicely. Car's warmed up now, so jack it off. What's the clutch like? I haven't spoken about that one yet. Let's have a look. A little bit of gas, very responsive gas pedal, as I said, like it. Clutch is quite heavy. Bite point is a bit beyond halfway, but it's quite communicative. It's quite easy to feel that bite point, get it there, and give it a little bit and get going. Not a bad clutch to use. I felt better. It's a little bit heavy. If you've got weak legs, I still think you get used to it. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but I'm not going to complain either. So there you go. I've talked about the gas, the brakes, and the clutch, and the steering. How does that compute? How does that all add up to a country road drive? Well, I'm on a country road now. Pleasing sound from the engine. Quite a nice response from that gas pedal. Brakes doing a good job. Steering's lovely. It's hard to explain how Mini handles. I mean, does it generate better cornering forces? No, it can't go round a corner quicker than a lot of other cars. It's not like it generates loads of grip, but that's the same with most cars. A tyre can only generate about 1 G of grip, maximum in good conditions. It's how it feels when you do it. And it just darts, the front end just goes exactly where you want it. And it's quite an addictive driving experience. With that throttle response of this Cooper, this non-turbocharged, non-supercharged Cooper, it's really easy to rev match, heel and toe, lovely. I don't like the round pedals, I think they look silly, but they do work quite well. The Gearbox gearbox is very nice, quite a good throw, not too long, not too short, so you're not going to get the wrong gear by accident, and it's not very notchy either. Even when it's cold, it slips into gear quite nicely. It's a pleasing feel to it as well. It feels very solid, very well built. Makes you want to change gear more than you need to, really, just for the enjoyment. Something you probably won't like about this car, and that's the boot. I mean, it has a boot, but let's just leave it at that. Oh, well, actually, forgot about this. You can lower the seats, which makes the boot like a normal size. So if you don't want to take people, you can have an all right boot. If you want to take people, make sure they leave their luggage at home. Build quality is quite good. For the time when this car came out, it kind of trumped the rest of its competition because it was a small Super Mini with good build quality, way above anything else on sale really. So if you wanted a small car, you didn't have to have a really cheap feeling car. And as a result, it's aged really well as well. And others have tried to compete. I know the Fiat 500 went the retro way, in the same way this is quite a retro design. The Audi A1 thought they would Audi thought they would have a stab at a premium Super Mini market. And even the Vauxhall Adam, they tried to take on the Fiat 500, kind of failed at it quite dismally, but if you look at it, you might understand why. But this car, it was the first. It was the first to give you, from my memory at least, a small car without feeling like a cheap car. And it's aged well because of it. The interior still looks pretty good to this day, and this is a mid-2006 model, so this is getting on for 14 years old. It's a bit dirty, but I'm sure when this gets cleaned up, it's going to look pretty good. So let's talk about what you get in this car. It's a Cooper, which is the mid-spec, the Cooper S being the top, the One being the bottom. Later on, after this model actually, it was the second generation, they brought out the Mini first, and there's been quite a few other things, but when this was released, it was quite simple. You got a One, a Cooper, and a Cooper S, and this is the middle one, and it's a late version of that middle one before they brought out the second generation of the new Mini. It's got automatic headlights, automatic wipers, heated front screen. Not that it really works, half of it works, but that's quite normal for a 14-year-old car. The front heated windscreen does tend to fail generally. It's got a rear heated windscreen, all of that works, and a really good heater. Every Mini I've ever been in has great demisting functions from its heater. You turn it on demist, put the heater up max, you get some serious hot air very quick out of these vents, and it clears nice and quickly. The seats are too small, really. They don't look it, but I don't know. I'm not a big person, and I feel like they're just about big enough for me, and I don't find them very comfortable, and they're a little bit creaky as well. Adjustment is okay. You've got height, forwards and backwards, all manual of course. You can tilt it all right. You've got a little bit of lumbar support. Headrest will go up fairly high, so even though the seat's quite small, if you're quite tall, your neck's going to be all right, hopefully, if someone hits you from behind or if you hit something. Being a 14-year-old car, don't expect things like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, Bluetooth connectivity, none of that. You get a CD player and a radio, and you don't even get a clock. So you don't know if you're late. I suppose that's a good thing. All the sun visors get a very good vanity mirror with a light. This one doesn't work unless you hold it up. So if you want to do your makeup, oh, there you go. I was going to say you're going to have to use one hand. Now you can use two hands. And a very mini thing is to have an extra one on the side, which is nice if the sun is burning your ear. I don't like this interior. It's a little bit too baggy trousers and big feet for me. Despite the shoes and socks I normally wear, I do prefer interiors to be a little bit more shirt and tie than clown wear. But of course, that's my opinion on the interior. Yours could be different. In fact, a lot of people love this interior. It's right up their street. So it could actually be one of the good points about this car. One of the downsides of this car is the noise. The engine, you can hear that, certainly. And the wind noise, everything really. Rain, at the moment, wipers. It's not a quiet place to be on a long journey. No cruise control either. I've never actually been in a Mini of this era with cruise control. I'm not sure if they did fit it to some. Let me know in the comments if you know that. I'll be interested to find out. At the moment I'm doing 50 miles an hour and it's noisy. There's a lot of road noise. I'm having to raise my voice. This is just 50 miles an hour. The wind noise isn't too bad. It's that tyre roar you get from these fairly big wheels on such a small car without that much sound insulation. If you want to get going in this car, you do have to rev it. It does thrive on revs. It doesn't have much power until about 4,000 RPM. You really need to take it all the way to 6 to feel like you're going somewhere, and then you're only really getting to 60 in about 10 or slightly under 10 seconds. But as I say, that is fine. That's okay. That's fast enough for this little car. It's really fun. I mean, I own a car that is pretty quick, if I'm honest with you, and you know, that's a very fun car. This can be almost as fun. You don't need a car to be fast for it to be fun. You just need it to drive in a pleasing way. I would get tired of this though if I had to drive it a long way, and I would just like to be in a Golf or a nice comfy Volvo or something if I was driving a good 3 or 4 hours. But for nipping around town, doing 20 minutes on a country road, it's quite good. Practicing your heel and toe as well. Lovely car to practice that with. If you spend about £1,500 on one of these cars, I recommend you have about £2,000. £1,500 for the car and £500 for the inevitable common problems that it does suffer from. Oil leaks, mainly. However, I still see that as excellent value for money. Basically, for 1,500 quid plus a £500 oh damn fund ready for any problems, that's £2,000 for a car that drives like this and is as fun as this. That's a real good bargain. You can easily go out and spend on a brand new car 13, 14, 15, even up to £20,000, and if I'm honest with you, most of the time I'd prefer to be driving this. Now, the problem with these engines when they go wrong isn't so much the cost of fixing the engine, it's the fact that the whole front of the car has to come off to do so many jobs, because the engine's so tightly packed into such a short stubby nose, so you can get those retro looks. At least you get the oil leak and then you've got to take the front off instead of the front falling off, and then you get the oil leak. If you know what I'm talking about, you probably know what Clark and Door is. If you don't know, or who Clark and Door are, should I say, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I recommend you Google the front fell off. Might cheer you up. I can't think of much else to say about this car now, apart from maybe the rear seats. Not a lot of room back there, but I think you probably knew that. All in all, if you want a fun little cheap car, this is near the top of my list. I wouldn't buy one now because, although I'm not old, I'm 32, I am past having a car like this as a daily. I do like something a bit more comfortable and relaxing. But as a little run around, a little second car maybe, yeah, it's a good little bit of fun when you want it to be. If I was 20 and I had this car, I think I would have loved it. I didn't. I wish I knew back then. Anyway, I hope this video helps you. If you're thinking of buying one of these, if it does, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to get my future videos. Until the next one, cheerio.